So as someone who has never really other than, occasionally drinking to that point, but almost never now. I mean, I can't even think of the last time I got anywhere close to being drunk, whatever that means. And some very young adulthood use of marijuana, very young, like maybe three times, because then I worked for CIA, so I couldn't do that.
Mm.
I've never had those experiences. And so I can't relate to them
Yeah,
in any way. I don't think.
probably in some way not. Julie, we're talking about psychedelic experiences. She said she has not had anything anywhere near that, so it's hard to relate. I think yes and no. I think you've had experiences of the universe of yourself that are show you patterns and pictures of how things work.
Yes, absolutely. That I have had.
So
Yes.
there is some of like the lessons you've probably had in different ways, but in terms of having altered states of consciousness happen, you probably haven't, like if I were to give you DMT or you were to be on ketamine, you'd be like, I have never seen anything like this in my life. And that would probably be true. You probably hadn't seen any of the visual imagery or the feelings of dissolving into great, the great picture. But I can guarantee you've had the lessons that a lot of people on psychedelics have had, and we don't have to use psychedelics to have the lessons.
There's no question, Carmen. I mean, because of your intuition and your dreams and things like that, you get that information directly from the universe without the visuals.
Mhm.
I have no idea what that means, but
Well, no, Mike, can you explain that to her in a way that she can hear? Because I think it's really true.
Yeah. So assuming you're working with Julia for a reason, you guys bonded and you're coming because you have some kind of intuitive gifts or you have dreams or you're right. I mean, you wouldn't be bonded with Julia if you didn't have some kind of noetic experience or precognition or you guys wouldn't be bonded or paired. So those things are accessible much more easily on medicine because your default mode network is turned off. Your regular way of thinking and the regular way of narrating life is turned off. The regular way of perceiving is turned off. So you're able to access information around you without the barriers of that default mode network or the ego completely on. And if you're already open to that, if you're already intuitive and you have gifts of seeing the future or of connecting with spirits or in precognition, you have a thought of what's going to happen or a presentiment, you feel something's going to happen, and it does. You already have those gifts and you're just getting them without maybe the strong visuals that you get while you're on
I will
psychedelics.
actually share with you because it just popped into my mind. And one of my rules I live by was when a thought enters your mind, pay attention to it. Don't ignore it.
Mm,
And so I don't think I've ever told you this, Julia, but I was in Puerto Rico 1 year after my father and my grandmother, beloved grandmother, died. So they both died within 2 weeks of each other in 2003. And so a year later, my mother wanted to go to Puerto Rico and do novenas, have like the rosary told. My grandmother was Catholic, my father was whatever. But so we went to Puerto Rico and we invited a lot of my best friends uh, to come. And so there was about eight, in other words, 10 of us. And we rented a big old townhouse on the ocean in Puerto Rico, Palmas del Mar. The townhouse had a terrace. So we made food and we ate on top of that terrace. And so the way you make white rice in Puerto Rican cooking is you want to make it so that a crust forms. So
mm,
unlike Anglo white rice making, which is just ridiculous, the Latinos want that. We call it pegado, the sticky part, pegado. And so I find myself sticking my hand in the pot that the rice is in. And there's like nine other people. They're sticking my hand in the rice and turning it into a rice bowl with my hand, manipulating it. So I have a little rice bowl. And I went, oh my God, that's what my dad used to do. And I had never done that in my life.
Mm.
Stuck my hand in the pot of rice and made the ball. And then, like 5 minutes later, this white owl flies over the terrace. And I immediately go, oh, that's abuela, that's my grandmother. And you could never
Mm.
convince me that that isn't what was really happening. I mean,
Mm.
particularly my making the pegao. I mean, that was like blew my mind that I did something that I
Mm.
had never done before.
In my book, it's detailed stories like that, but they're on medicine. But things come to them while they're on medicine that are and represent
Mm,
their ancestry, that represent their family, or that are their family coming and talking to them and giving information that
right.
may be new or may be really deep in the recesses. And so you're already having these experiences, and not everyone gets to touch that kind of the spirit world, the ancestral world behind the veil, which I might always exist and it might not. I'm an open skeptic. I don't know, but I do know that these things are real for us when we're experiencing them.
Yeah,
And
right.
so for you to have your dad reaching in and doing the rice ball through you, have
Yeah.
abuela,
Yeah.
your abuela
It gives
coming,
me chills. Yeah.
right?